All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about something very important, and it's a question that weighs very heavily on my brain because it is a very logical question, and it was a question that was brought to me in my stream or one of my streams. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to open the floodgates for the community to weigh in on this as well in the comment section, of course. And that is, did Splitgate 2 release too early, right? Because in my mind, I keep thinking to myself, if this game was given, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks of extra time, right, in the oven before it came out, I think that would have been enough time to release with a ranked mode, with the camo mastery system, and a lucrative progression system. Those three things right there, upon release, would have made the difference in this game. And I'll even go as far as to say that I am surprised that the guys in charge, the CEOs, you know, those guys, I'm surprised that they released the game without these three things intact. Because the rest of the game is very solid. They got the battle royale, they got the damn map editor, which is incredible. You've got, you know, these game modes that are in there. You got amazing gameplay. You got your own version of Big Team Battle, the battle royale. I mean, you got you've got amazing gunplay, amazing movement, smooth as hell. I mean, it's like the gameplay is some of the best that I've ever had in a first-person shooter. It's one of the most addictive first-person shooter I ever had. Right now, I checked Steam before recording this, and I'm at 163 hours. And you're talking about a non-sponsored, nearly 41-year-old content creator that is playing the game purely for fun. I would not, let me tell you, if the game wasn't fun, I guarantee you I wouldn't have put in this amount of hours into the game if I didn't enjoy it, right? Especially to the degree that I do. I even think about this game when I'm not playing it, right? Like, what do I want to do mostly with my spare time? I want to play Splitgate 2. I mean, like literally, other than creating content, I want to play Splitgate 2. Like, and there are plenty of times where I want to play Splitgate 2 more than I want to create content because, again, I enjoy the game that much. There's only one other content creator that I know that is more hooked on this game than I am, or just as hooked as I am, and he's got more hours on this game than me, and that's J-Bo Enderman. He's crossed over 200 hours, if I'm not mistaken, into this. So, and he spends a lot of time streaming. He spends a lot of time creating content as well. So it's like, you know, which is incredible. Here I am, you know, at age 41, you know, putting in these kind of hours, you know, and, you know, trying to keep up with these younger guys like JB and a few others. I also spoke to one of the pros, Machiavelli, and asked him how many hours he's got. And this was a few days ago, and he's clocked in at over 250. And I'm like, yep, see, this is the difference between a professional and an enthusiast, right? Because that's what I am at the end of the day, is an enthusiast. So anyway, and I'm pretty sure he's probably close to 300 at this point now, just a few days later. But anyway, did this game release too early? And in my opinion, yes, it did. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of those players that if the gameplay is solid and if I'm getting my dopamine fixed by the gameplay, I could do fine without ranked. I could do fine without the camo system. I could do fine without a progression system. I don't require that personally for me. They're great to have. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate them. I respect them. It's better to have them than not. However, I can do just fine without these three things. But the majority of the community, from the looks of things, from what I'm seeing, is that they're not on the same boat in that aspect as me. You know, they may like the game. They might find it, you know, addictive. Maybe they're not as addicted to it as I am, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing is, for them, in their eyes, they keep saying, there's no reason to come back and play. I've maxed everything out. There's no reason for me to come back to play. And this is not something that's new just to current generations. As a matter of fact, I would say that this type of response from players has been apparent ever since, let's say, the early 2010s. Now, the reason why I say the early 2010s was because it was the first time I'd ever seen it right before my eyes, when my closest friend, my best friend, as a matter of fact, one of my two best friends in this life, right, that I've known ever since high school, and he played Call of Duty Black Ops 1, and he played that game literally 7 days a week for hours and hours on end. He played that game probably more than I am playing Splitgate 2 right now from a day-to-day basis. And he had a full-time job at the time. And as a matter of fact, he was even playing it at work because he had a unique position to where he could play it at work. But granted, if somebody wanted his attention, all he had to do was put the controller down and wham, bam, he had his attention. That was it. But when that wasn't the case, he was grinding the game. As a matter of fact, there were times where he even stayed after hours, even though he had shut down. He stayed after hours because his setup was there and he just kept on playing until he just didn't keep on playing and just went home. Like that's basically what it was. He didn't always take his setup home or whatnot. He would just leave it there, I believe. But once he got to max prestige, once he got all those gold camos, he was done. He did not play the game again. I'm like, why are you not playing? And he's like, I've already max prestiged and I've already got all my gold camos. There's no reason for me to play anymore. I'm like, yeah, don't you enjoy it? Isn't it fun? He's like, yeah, but I've already played the crap out of it. And it's like, well, if there was something else to go for, and again, I'm kind of paraphrasing or whatnot. Remember, this was back in 2010, 2011. So it was a long ass time ago. But, ultimately, long story short, he ran out of things to grind for. Right. So it's nothing new. And this is why I'm kind of surprised for, the CEOs who actually grew up in that same generation, playing the same games, wanting the Titanfall 3 to come out, et cetera, et cetera. I'm kind of surprised that they let the game go without ranked, without the mastery camo system, and without a lucrative in-game progression system, because they know what they're doing. And that's why I'm mentioning it here. These guys know what they're doing. So therefore, it's like, why? Why did you release? Why did you go on in full release? Why didn't you just keep the beta going for another 4 to 6 weeks or so while you guys work on that? And then once you get the full release, wham, bam. Or why couldn't you just delay the beta by, like, let's say another month and a half to 2 months? And then wham, bam, by the time we be at this state now where we are at this moment, or perhaps a couple weeks from now, you'd be releasing the biggest, free-to-play first-person shooter in a long-ass time, if not ever, with the amount of content. Because not only would we have what we have now, but we would also have, again, ranked, the camo system, and a lucrative progression system, right? Those three things right there are part of the glue, so to speak, that keeps players coming back. And remember, I am not one of these players. For me, the gameplay is enough with this game, right? Don't get me wrong. It's better even for me to have all these other things, like all these other options, and to not have them, sure. But everything that I require to keep coming back to a game and to keep playing it is already intact. But I'm one of those rare people. I don't know of too many people that have, put in this amount of time, other than pros and other than J-Bo Enderman himself. I'm sure they're out there, but I don't know of too many people that have loved this game this much, to grind this much willingly, just simply because they enjoy it as much as they do. And they're getting that much of a dopamine fix, and everything up from the movement to the gunplay to the kills to the assists to taking the objectives, or playing whatever mode and using whatever weapon and doing all these things. Like, that right there for me is where it's at, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised that it was kind of released like that. I'm glad we got what we got. I'm glad the game did release. I'm glad the game certainly gave, a good amount of content for what it released or whatnot, with the battle royale and everything else. But I can't help but be surprised, from a personal standpoint. And as far as me, like, if we're just asking selfish me, I'm not disappointed. But when you're talking about the overall picture, and these guys knowing the industry and knowing the gaming space and knowing the game itself and the genre as well as they do, as well as just people in general, and what the standards are of today, I'm kind of surprised that they kind of let that one slip, or let it go, or made the decision that they made. I would really love to know what the mindset was as far as that is concerned, because I'm sure there are other people out there that have that kind of question in their mind. You know what I mean? It's like, why couldn't you guys wait? I mean, is there another game that's in contention that's coming out real soon that could possibly mess with this game's financial success or something like that? I don't know. I mean, I haven't really been looking, and nor do I really care. I mean, this game almost kind of hit me out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I didn't even play the alpha. It hit me out of nowhere. And when I played the beta, I absolutely fell in love with it. And to this day, I am still in love with it. And all I play is Arena. I don't play Onslaught, which I probably will play at some point or another. Battle Royale is not my thing. I know it's a different take on Battle Royale, but it's just really not my thing. I like Arena for the most part. You know, maybe I'll play some big team battle or Onslaught or whatnot that it's called in this game. But I'm into Arena, and I do absolutely love this game. Do I love everything 100% about it? The answer to that is no. In terms of what I don't like, it's the fact that, well, you've got the wonderful things called the portals, and which is amazing, but you know, if you run into a team of players that actually know portals and they're portal gods, and you know, they've been playing ever since Splitgate 1, and their knowledge with portals is so good. If you get in a team deathmatch, these guys don't even have to move all that much in order to, you know, wipe the floor with you, quite frankly. And I think that's both a good and a bad thing, because it is a form of chess after all. It is a form of knowledge, which is in turn a form of skill. But at the same time, it's like, you know, they're not moving around as much. You know, this is one of the reasons why in competitive, or should I say in ranked, when ranked comes out, I seriously doubt team deathmatch is going to be on the rotational playlist for ranked, because there wouldn't be that many people move. There'd just be teleporting, but not moving. You know, people wouldn't be sprinting, running, jumping, sliding, and all that kind of stuff. They'd just be going portal to portal, and it wouldn't be nearly as much movement. You know what I mean? So I've seen scrims already of some of the pros playing this game, and obviously it's got to be it's got to be objective based game modes. You know, you got to give them a reason to move. You know. So Call of Duty, the game that doesn't have portals, you know, never really had team deathmatch as a competitive playlist. And the reason being is because, you know, it would just be boring and people would be camping their asses off, et cetera, et cetera. And it would just be, yeah. So it's not like Halo where you got Slayer, and it's not like Quake, you know, where you got, you know, team deathmatch or deathmatch. So this one's a little bit different. You know, and it's because of those portals. But even without portals, though, this game plays amazing. And I think it's I think it's two different forms of skill when you've got no portals versus portals. I kid you not, because when you're limited to the fact that you can't, you know, portal all over the place or whatnot, there's something to be had about that, because your skill, you're limited in terms of what you're able to do, but you're still, you know, you still got to use all these other elements even more. You got to use your movement, your thought process, how you're going to, you know, appear or how you're going to take on this engagement versus that engagement, whether it's in team deathmatch or whether it's in objective based game modes. So the portal thing I love, and I have this kind of back and forth relationship with. I don't even want to call it love or hate, because I don't hate it, you know, but I don't like love it, but I like the fact that it's another layer of possibilities, especially if a player is by themselves and they have this portal knowledge and they have to carry a team of people that don't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? So again, I like it more than I, you know, question it, but at the same time, I can't help but feel the way I feel. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But the thing is, overall, the game is, in my eyes, it's terrific. And to be quite frank, I'm going to end it with this. I don't want to see it fail. You know what I mean? And I haven't really made too many videos discussing that aspect, because I feel that if I start making videos like that, a player that's never played the game before is going to read a title that's saying, hey, will this game survive? Or is this game dying? Blah, blah, blah. And then they're not even going to try it. You know what I mean? Just because they see that kind of a title, they're going to be like, oh, I'm not even going to try this game because I see that title, you know, and I don't want that for the game. I want people to go in and try it, because as I've mentioned before, if you don't like the game because it's not your cup of tea after you've given it a try, absolutely, that's perfectly fine. No reason for you to play it. Thank you for trying, blah, blah, blah. You know, and again, this is coming from someone who's not sponsored. I just love the shit out of the game, and I want to see it succeed. And I also think that as far as the gaming space is concerned nowadays, I find it kind of sad that there's plenty of community members in gaming, right? Not in Splitgate 2, but just in gaming in general, the overall gaming space, right? That want to see a game die, you know, for whatever reason, right? So it's kind of sad. It's like, you know, it's just sad, man. So I want to see this game succeed, because in my opinion, the gameplay is something that you simply, you know, can't ignore. It's an arena shooter that has been brought back, you know, because multiplayer games originally started with arena shooters all the way back on PC with Quake. and with Unreal Tournament, et cetera, right? And then on console, it started with Halo, and then things started evolving. We started getting different games, et cetera, et cetera. So it all started with an arena shooter. And this is a version of an arena shooter on multiple platforms, on every platform available, you know, made by devs that actually know what they're doing. But yeah, did the game release too early? Yeah. In my opinion, yes, it did. I would have loved for this game to have another month or two in the oven to get those three pieces, those three, you know, pillars into the game at full release. That would have been amazing. I don't think people would have had too much to complain about after that. And it would have kept so many people playing or whatnot. But at the same time, again, it's still early, and this game can come back. If there have been games in history that have not only been able to remain relevant for many years, or have made comebacks as well, you know, it just goes to show you that it is possible. And this game certainly has the capability of doing so. But it's all about two pieces. It's about the community and it's about the devs. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're reaching out and starting doing these surveys and stuff like that, because ultimately it takes two to tango, and it takes two pieces in order to make things work. So with that being said, guys, I would like to know in the comments section down below, do you guys believe that the game was released early? Would you have liked to have seen it, you know, release a little bit later in order to get some of these extra pieces of content or whatnot out? What are your overall thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, I would love to know. So with that being said, guys, as always, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.